Greetings, my name is Throwback Scholar and welcome to my story zone. Usually, I would record narrations for my videos, but I have a sore throat, and for this video, I will use a text-to-speech program for narration. When I would spend time with my grandma, I would read tons of books. These books included the Me and My Grandma books series from Mercer Meyer. While doing research for this video, I thought these books were written by Richard Scarry, because these books have the similar heartwarming feel. What I truly enjoyed about these books were the unique illustrations in these books. Additionally, my favorite type of book to this current day are comics, particularly Archie, DC and Marvel comics. While at my grandma's house, I would read Archie Digest stories and would enjoy the hijinks that he and his pals would get into. For instance, my grandma would comment on how Archie should choose Betty because Betty had a better attitude than Veronica and overall a better choice for Archie. Betty was self-sufficient and could teach Archie important skills ranging from car maintenance to computer tips. Furthermore, my grandma and I would talk about how Jughead would always remain calm under pressure and how that is an important skill to have in the real world. No matter the heartache or fights with Reggie or Big Moose, my grandma would always state that Jughead never let things get under his skin. Also, another comic book series I would read would be classic Superman archived comics. Similar to the Kid Goku story in my earlier video, my grandma would comment on how Superman always thought his way through of situations. For instance, a story in a Silver Age Superman comic collection that my grandma and I would discuss about was the story where Superboy, young Superman pre-crisis, was rejected from the Legion of Superheroes. The Legion of Superheroes are a collection of superheroes from the 31st century who highly revere Superman. But they reject Superboy as a way for him to achieve more and for him to become the legendary man he is destined to be. My grandma would reinforce my parents' teachings that rejection in life is present to build one up to a higher standard. Back to the Future, one of the greatest films ever made, the relatable characters, engaging science fiction plot, and amazing soundtrack. Watching Back to the Future at my grandma's house was one of my greatest memories. My grandma and I would talk about our favorite scenes from the iconic film. My grandma would use movies and shows that we would watch to reinforce my parents' values. For instance, she would state that despite Marty getting mad at people calling him chicken, he learned to control his emotions.
Another reason why I favored this movie was it was one of the reasons why I play guitar. My grandma reinforced my parents' values of focusing on education and having a beneficial hobby. I wanted to learn guitar during my childhood, but my grandma was concerned that I would hurt my fingers at a young age and it would be a better idea to wait until I became a teenager to begin playing guitar. During my teenage years, I learned guitar at my local comic book and music shop, Green Shift. The scene that also reinforced my music taste was the scene where Marty plays Eddie Van Halen recording to wake his father up.
Back to the Future Part 2 has to be, in my humble opinion, one of the most well-crafted film sequels that Steven Spielberg and his talented crew has developed. For instance, the scene where Marty caused events that happened in the first film was a genius move and reminds me of the self-reference method the Beatles used on Glass Onion. While watching Back to the Future Part 2 at my grandma's house, we would joke about how actual hoverboards would require extensive training similar to an astronaut because in her opinion skateboarding was dangerous enough. Additionally, she would further instill my parents' moral values by stating that Marty used his cleverness to outwit Biff Tannen in the Tannen Casino. Denzel Washington is quite possibly one of the most dynamic and highly talented actors in Hollywood, regardless of the genre of movie that he stars in. An A-plus performance is ensured. I vividly remember when my family and I were watching the 2002 Oscars and how elated my grandmother was when the announcer stated that Mr. Washington won the award for Best Leading Actor. Later that week, while watching the 106 & Park interview, my grandma informed me that, "You see, regardless of the obstacles that life may throw at someone, pick yourself up and continue to persevere." That's 106 & Park, one of the many television shows I watched with my grandma. We were big fans of the show. If memory serves me right, our favorite hosts of the show were AJ Calloway and Free, Big Tigger and Jalissa, and Terrence J and Roxy. The banter between these hosts were legendary and gave the show a unique experience. Our favorite artists to watch were Snoop Dogg, Outkast, and watching the legendary rise of Beyoncé. Among the pantheon of legendary Black/African American music artists, Beyoncé's extensive talent earned her a place in the pantheon of legendary Black/African American musicians. MTV Headbangers Ball was a great show. Two of my most favorite bands from the legendary rock show were Bon Jovi and Metallica. I deeply enjoyed the guitar harmonies that both bands employed in their songs. When I was a kid, my grandma would call guitar harmonies guitar duets. Some of my favorite guitar duets of Metallica and Bon Jovi were the Bon Jovi song Livin' on a Prayer and Metallica's Battery. While my grandma would complete chores around the house, I would listen to countless bands on Headbangers Ball. Despite my grandma not being a huge rock/metal fan, she liked how Bon Jovi's songs would tell relatable stories about individuals enduring hardships and obtaining success through hard work.